All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the RDN Roller Show. Before we start the podcast, I'm going to go over some things. We're going to do things a little different here on this one. We have a big interview with Mission Hockey. Personally, one of my favorite interviews. Super geeked out about the technology and the gear, and just ask some random questions. I've always wanted to know about Mission Hockey. So, do an interview first on this one. On the later half, that's where we're going to talk about some roller, some pie some Coupe de France, and then NCRHA Nationals as well too. So we're gonna send it over to the interview with Sierra Hanna of Mission Bauer, and we're super excited for this one. This one is gonna be you guys are gonna love this, and the new skates, the new Mission skates are out now at your local hockey store, Pure Hockey, Hockey Monkey, anywhere that you guys have a get your hockey gear. So enjoy the podcast.
This is a
This is a
big
huge
one.
one.
So, as you guys just heard, we're back with the Roller Dad News podcast. It's been a while since we've had an interview on our podcast. Last one, Rob and I were just flying solo on it, but we have a great interview ahead here with the associate brand manager for Mission Hockey, Sierra Hanna. How are you doing? I know you've been busy as all hell. I'm sure, working there, it's something new every day, but how's it going? And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with Mission.
Yeah, so I'm buzzing. I'm super pumped to be here with you guys today. Thank you for the opportunity to sit down and kind of talk through Mission and roller hockey. Yeah, it's been busy for sure. Kind of we're about 24 hours away from the next Mission launch. We haven't seen in the market since 2021, so a lot of excitement, a lot of work has gone into this line, and I can't wait for it to get into people's hands finally, so people can stop asking me, where is Mission? I'm here to tell you, Mission is here, and it's better than ever.
I have a question. Do
Yeah.
people like reach out to you on LinkedIn or anything because they find you or and like kind of see what you do and be like, hey, like I see this. When's the new skate coming out?
Sometimes LinkedIn, not so much. I more so on LinkedIn, I get people asking, "Hey, how did you get a job at Bauer? How do I get a job at Bauer?"
Okay.
Instagram though, when people sometimes people will connect the dots, and then I get flooded in Instagram. So it's fun though. It's good to know that people are excited and want the skate. So it makes me happy.
It's funny you say that people ask you how to get a job there because I probably asked Kocher 1,000 times how to get a job there, and he's like, "You got to move." Like that was the
That's
simple
it.
answer. He's like,
Yeah.
"You have to move to where HQ is." So, about that, like where is? Can you explain to people like where Bauer HQ is, where and how the collaboration kind of works with Mission?
Yeah, sure. So we're based in Exeter, New Hampshire. It's our corporate headquarters. So kind of all of the brand side, the creative side, finance, all of that happens in this building. And then we have an incredible state-of-the-art, world-class research and design facility in Blainville, Montreal. And that's where kind of all of the magic happens, which I hope someday can take you guys there and give you a tour of the facilities and kind of all of the amazing stuff we're working on. Because if you're a fan of hockey, if you're a fan of roller hockey, if you just like gear, it's
Top secret.
possibly, yeah, it's top secret, but it is the
Yeah, you need
coolest
security
place to
You
clearances.
be.
need the Bauer security clearance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
background
So,
checks.
so yeah, I work for Bauer, and as the brand manager on the roller hockey side, I have the very cool job and opportunity to manage both the Vapor and Mission hockey lines. So most people are familiar with Mission. Bauer acquired it. I don't want to give you guys the wrong date, but I'll follow up after and give you the exact date. But Bauer acquired Mission about 10 years ago, I want to say, maybe a little bit more. And Mission was based in California, and then we moved kind of operations to Exeter to just kind of keep it all under the same umbrella. And I started with Bauer back in April of 2021, so I'm coming up on 4 years now, which is crazy. It's been a whirlwind, but roller hockey was kind of the first category I was given to manage, so it's very near and dear to my heart, especially the Mission brand. Just knowing its history and how much it means to people is it's I feel, and we, like everyone in this building, feels a lot of responsibility to make sure we're doing right by that brand.
No, it's I think I met you well officially last year at State Wars. We got
Yeah.
to, eat lunch together. You were working with Mission there and Bauer, at State Wars, and I got to be honest, like that was so cool, like what you guys were doing with the kids, giving away the
Yeah.
hats and truly everything. But you kind of gave us a little, a sneak peek too, and I kind of want to get to know how you got into hockey as well too. Who you are. So,
Yeah.
did you grow up playing roller, or was it just strictly ice for you in and you're from Montreal, correct?
Yeah, so I was born and raised just outside of Montreal, which obviously hockey is very integrated into the culture there. So I joke all the time that I learned how to skate before I learned how to run. My dad put me on the ice when I was about two, and he taught me how to skate. And he tried to put me in hockey, and I revolted. I went down the figure skating path initially, and then found my way back into hockey because I really love working on a team, and so hockey was definitely the sport for me. Roller hockey, outside of kind of just messing around with friends, I wasn't even aware of kind of the world that is roller hockey in the community until I got this job. And actually, I have to give Andy Cripps a ton of credit.
He's gonna
Andy Cripps.
love that.
He's gonna love that.
Andy and I were hired right around the same time. And
Wow.
so we connected early on, and I learned kind of his history and his background in roller hockey, and he was so helpful and kind of just helping me navigate through and understand everything. And he's an engineer, so he's got a great head for talking product and talking performance. So I credit Andy a ton for never losing his patience with my endless questions, and I am super grateful for all his help and his insight.
He probably low key loves that you ask those questions because anytime I talk to Crips about gear, it's not like a short answer. It's an essay answer, right?
Yeah.
Like he is a gearhead, like down to what he uses. Like he's
Oh
so
yeah.
specific in his curve and his wheel setup, skate size, the whole thing. Him and Kocher, honestly, are both
Yeah.
gearheads. So
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
was so lucky to come in and have both Cripps and Kocher here, who obviously love roller hockey and give a lot back to the community, and how awesome they were and kind of welcoming me into roller hockey. So thank God for them, because the first 6 months and just trying to absorb everything I needed to know it was like drinking from a fire hose,
I
but
was, yeah.
It's all over the place. There's not
yeah.
like, yeah, it's just like, okay, what is this? What is this? And yeah, it's kind of a big reason why we, created Roller Dad News. But even then, it's like there's so much other stuff going on
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
that you don't even like realize. So, you
Across the
know,
entire world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's a huge pocket of roller hockey in Africa, like in Europe, in North America. And every one of those areas has intricacies and kind of different things that make it unique, but it all ladders up to just people who love playing the game and want to have a good time. So
Yeah.
it's the best community. It's so cool to be a part of this community.
Yeah, and no, it's crazy. You mentioned it earlier. Like Mission, in my opinion, was like the first introduction into roller hockey for me, like as far as skates go. And I even just last night, kind of in preparation, looking at the original Mission skates, right? Like how much roller hockey's evolved from this like big clunky boot with a straight frame and like 69 millimeter wheels to like what it is today, which we're gonna get into, the reason we're here, right? It's like crazy just if you think about that. And when you said that, it really just like hit home with me. And then you mentioned like how big roller hockey is in just different parts of the world. It really is a lot bigger than we think
Yeah.
on a scale. So that kind of leads us to our next thing here. Like we're here for a reason, right? There's a big release tomorrow of the new Mission FS1 and FS2 skates.
and if you're watching on the video, you can kind of see everything too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if you're not watching on the video, head to our YouTube, check it out because I even think you got the goalie skates there. You have all the lines, so that
Yep.
check it out while we're talking.
Exactly. So a little Vanna White, I like that there. But it was awesome. We got to kind of peek at them a little earlier and obviously with people very excited about it, probably asking you like your DM's got to be crazy right now, just like ours are, because you're getting, they're starting to get into retail, go to retail. So give us a little bit of background on the inspiration behind the new line.
Yeah, so it's been a long process, right? I started working on this line back in 2021 because we were initially set to launch in 2023, and we decided to push the launch for all the right reasons, and I'm glad we did, because it was really important for us to get the line right from a tech and spec, from a design, and from a price point consideration. And so I relied very heavily on State Wars. It's the tournament that I go to every year. Shout out to Tim McManus for putting on a great tournament with, again, international players coming in from all over the world, which a big part of what we do here is we get in front of consumers as often as we can, because we can sit here and have conversations about spec and, weight and all of these things, but ultimately the consumer decides. And so having the opportunity to go to State Wars and talk to the people directly who are going to be wearing the skates and using the skates is invaluable. So one of the questions I asked was, what was your favorite Mission skate? What was your favorite Mission era? What do you miss from this line? And the overwhelming majority of people said the Axiom lineup of skates. That was the skate that I heard over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, so it feels like there's something here, if not from a tech perspective, then at least from a look perspective, which is why partly we started with the gold on FS1. And so we concepted, we had a bunch of mood boards. A lot of the inspiration, we looked at fighter jets and bombers, and we looked at topographical maps, and we looked at how do we create motion and speed in these skates, but kind of still ground it in something that is technical and fast and has more around it than just, graphics and lines and designs. Like, we wanted it to have something that was representative of speed and just something that comes in and destroys everything in its path, kind of thing. And so that's really where we started. And a couple years ago at State Wars, I brought a ton of renderings, which is just 2D designs. And I just asked people, which of these colorways, which of these designs do you like the most? And kind of gold and purple definitely rose to the top. And I was like, okay, gold and purple couldn't be more different colors, but we trusted the consumer, and they were right. I mean, honestly, the two of them together, they look awesome. And it's nice to have like a visual differentiation between price points, so right away what you're looking at. So that was a big part of it, was the feedback from State Wars that really influenced the design of these skates.
That was probably the best description I have ever heard of an
Crazy.
inspiration
Yeah,
of a skate. Because
I was like, oh my gosh.
when you're saying that, and I have the skates up right now looking at them, and you're talking about the flow and like the intensity of like, jets, and like
Yeah.
it has that flow. It has all of those things to it. When you're actually, now when you say that and you look at it, you're like, yeah, like that is cool.
Yeah.
So when you're asking these people, like, they say Axiom, and they're saying like inhaler or whatever they're saying, and you're new to it,
Mhm.
do you get to go back into like the Mission, like
Oh,
HQ,
yeah.
like,
Like the vault.
okay, where, yeah, the vault, the Mission
Yeah.
vault, and see, okay, this is the skate where, you have all of your guys's, lineups
Yeah.
you've created.
Yeah, it's funny you say vault, because the Mission vault is literally right now, it's a cabinet, a filing cabinet drawer, and it's got every catalog
That's so cool.
that Mission has ever put out. So I took an afternoon, like a year or so ago, on a Friday afternoon, and I just sat there and I read and I flipped through every single catalog I get my hands on, to just kind of watch the evolution of kind of the I don't want to say theme of Mission, but how the brand evolved and how it spoke to its consumers and how it spoke to the technology and all of the little details that are inputted or like put into the skates. It's funny because when you are looking, year over year, launch after launch, finding the differences sometimes is hard, right? Moving big changes in technology year over year is not an easy thing to accomplish. And often consumers kind of bristle at it, right? Because they still want some familiarity of what they're used to, but they want enough difference in there to make it exciting and new and worth their while. So when I kind of took a step back and I looked at day one Mission all the way through to kind of the WMO1 or the War Machine lineup, it was unbelievable to watch the evolution of the technology and the design of these skates. It's so cool. I wish I could show you guys. It was
Did we?
super cool, and like such an education for me.
It's funny. You're going to be making probably a lot of people who've been around roller for a while super jealous that you have access to that
I
cabinet.
know,
That
I
file
know.
you like some people may in your office just walking out, it's a file cabinet of mission stuff. Like you're probably making 80% of the roller hockey world super jealous that you have access. Because like even Rob and I have gone back and found like random catalogs from like
Yeah, I was
Utah
looking at the
and
Axiom
stuff.
catalog online
Yeah.
last night, and I was comparing it, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
And it's like now that you say that, I'd like in looking at the pictures, like you zoom in on the FS2 and like you can see in the M of the mission, it's got that axiom kind of design
Yeah, I like that
within the M.
swirl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the swirl, like kind of tribal almost design in the M, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool. And it's just sweet just kind of looking at it. Like I think it would be cool to have like a timeline graphic of just all the mission skates and what they are today, because that would be
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, it was all about kind of maintaining the legacy and kind of a nod to the legacy of Mission, married to kind of the innovation and world-class technology that Bauer is very well known for, and blending those two to
Good
kind
point.
of produce the best skate that we can produce.
So these ones, these new inhalers that are coming out, and they come out tomorrow on Friday. What is, from your eyes, the key differences from these skates from the War Machines from last,
Yeah.
or I guess last models?
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab it just so I
Yeah, yeah,
can
absolutely. Yeah,
reference
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it.
yeah, great. Even better.
So we so War Machine, the WMO1 is, I don't want to say it's an overbuilt skate because I think it's a fantastically spec skate, but it left big shoes to fill from a tech and spec standpoint. And so we were like, okay, what can we prioritize in keeping from the WMO1 build and bringing it into this skate to kind of have the most impact? So we started with the quarter, which is a 3D lasted quarter. So basically what that means is your quarters come flat. And the way that we mold them or last them is we form them around a foot form. So you're getting an anatomical shape immediately in the quarter, which is really great. And what this means is it's a stiff quarter, so you have something to push against. So it's going to give you kind of the most direct energy transfer, and it's also one of our lightest curves. So from a lightweight standpoint and from a performance standpoint, it's kind of the top of what you can get out of a curve. And then we wanted to also keep the venting because that's something that is we started first, right? That came from Mission first, and so that feels iconic to the brand, especially this white toe cap, right? With the vents, you look at that immediately, you know you're looking at a Mission skate.
And it has like the little M in the front, right? Like the
Yeah, yep.
mission
It's
Yep.
got a little, I mean,
details.
it's not gonna come
Yeah,
across,
it's all
but
the
yeah, you can see
details.
it right there.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing this is called the foxing back here.
Yeah.
These are gold
Sweet.
Mission logos as well. So it's another a little detail in there. And so the quarter and the toe cap was really kind of where we started to build around. And then from there, we deviated. So new in this skate that I think is super, super exciting is the power coil tongue and the reflex tendon guard. And so these two components we pulled off of Bauer skates for a couple of reasons. First, the power coil tongue and in combination with that reflex tendon guard. Sorry, my teams just popped up. Sorry about that.
You're all good.
Um, so the combination of those two components together, basically the tongue feels like a spring. So you have something that you can actually lean into and push against. And with that tendon guard, it's flexing too, so it's snapping your foot back into position.
Yeah.
So those two working together, your forward flex and energy load is so much more efficient and explosive because you have a very flexible, reflexive tendon guard here. And the shape and the angle of this is getting you in a better knee over toe skating
Oh, I
position.
see.
That's
Yeah.
sweet, yeah. And
Yeah.
I noticed that the tongue, like just visually, even looking at it different, like as opposed to the honeycomb tongue, right? Which is
Yeah.
nice because it was padded, right? And it was
Hmm.
pretty thick. So like if you got hit there, like it really did help. But
Yeah.
it's nice because this does remind me of my skates, like my Bauer skates, where you have that plastic piece in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yep.
pretty cool. And now it makes sense why I did it. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
pretty
Give and a take.
upholsterer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you hear coaches since you're at 8U, like talking about knees over toes, right? So the tongue being bent in, you know, that
Yeah.
actually makes a ton of sense. And it's
Yeah.
crazy just what you're
It
saying.
takes the first 20% of your load requirement out, right? So you're
Right.
already from neutral, you're already preloaded, call it, to kind of have a more explosive stride. And I
Right.
got a lot of people complain, not complain, but they had feedback on the tongue on the WMO1. And it was kind of a three-piece stitch tongue, and that seam was creating like lace bite. It was creating a lot of issues for people. So this tongue is a one-piece tongue with an injected insert. So you're still going to have the protection, but it's going to be a lot more comfortable on your ankle and on your shin.
Wow. That's
I
awesome.
those two things, I think there's a lot of, just skates in general in the market that, especially the not the tongue, but just, your back cap, that thing falls off and tears
Oh
off,
yeah.
I see. And, just the way this is built and the way you look at it and how that spring is, it's kind of like I wouldn't, revolutionary with roller skates, what the technology does like that.
Hmm.
But even the tongue too, having a sturdy tongue, because some are even thin, and you get hit in the you get
Oh
hit in the
yeah.
shin right there or in the foot, that's gonna hurt. So it is
Especially
nice
with
to
the
see
steel
that
mat pucks.
those. Go ahead,
Especially
Ann.
with those steel mat pucks now. Like, I mean, those things are heavy. Like, you get hit with one of those. Like, you can't just use cheap roller skates anymore. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you have to go with something reliable, and that even goes down to the FS2, which kind of looks more like the War Machine a little bit, in my opinion, with
Yeah.
the ending guard and everything.
Yep. So the Warmish or the FS2 is much closer to what the WMO3 was. And we did this for a couple of reasons. One, the changes we made on FS1, it's very different from WMO1 from a not from a fit perspective, but from a feel perspective, right? It's going to change the way that the skate feels on your foot. WMO3 and FS2 are very similarly constructed to kind of maintain familiarity for those people who really love that construction of skates and are looking for something like that again, and just maybe an updated design with a couple other features changed around. So FS2 is really, I don't want to say it was a carryover of WMO3, but we stayed a lot truer to the construction of that skate.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I love the FS2. The purple colorway. It's clean. I really like that.
Thank
Um,
you.
and one question I have about, or a couple more questions, but
Yeah, this is a
about
good
the FS1, the chassis and the wheels.
Yep.
How do you guys? I know you guys probably have a deal with Lebeda, but how does the wheel choice get selected for that? Is it something that just looks, obviously the cleanest? Like these wheels are beautiful on it. It looks, it's just the Mission skates with the Lebeda. They always look great.
Yeah.
But how does that always come about with when you're choosing the type of wheel you're going to use?
Yeah, so it comes down to what the intended use of the skate is. So obviously this FS1 is definitely more of, that elite or pro inspired type of skate. And so we want to make sure we're staying kind of more on that same side from Lebeda. This skate, times are tough. The world is it's hard, to find extra money to spend on skates. So it was important for us when relaunching or launching a new mission line that we kind of level set the price points on these skates. And we wanted to make it a little bit more affordable so that all the people who have such a close connection to mission, it's a little bit more realistic for them to kind of get into this skate. So price is definitely a major consideration when we're speccing wheels and chassis and really everything on this skate because it's again, times are tough for a lot of people, and we want to make sure that we're giving people the best spec that we can, but being conscientious of kind of how much
That's
people
great.
can spend on a skate. And all of that comes directly from consumer feedback, right? We're asking them, what are you likely to spend on a skate? What have you spent in the past? Where are you comfortable? What are you looking for from a value perspective at each of these price points so we can really hone in and deliver on what consumers need?
And I think that's a great business strategy considering the fact that like not everyone wants to buy a $1,300 skate, right?
Yeah.
And you can still get a top of the line skate. And like you just spoke about crazy technology that I guarantee 95% of the people listening would never even thought of like made a
Right.
difference. and you're getting that at a really good price point. Like, that's just amazing to hear that. Like, it's not all about just like, hey, we can maximize our profits on this. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we need someone to buy this too, and
Right.
someone who's even, just a house league player. They'll go and buy
Yeah.
the top of the line, knowing that it's within the striking range. And if that's not it, then they'll go to the one down, and it's still
Right.
getting, like you had mentioned, something that was a very popular skate in the WM series.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that that you guys really, it sounds like in general, you've taken players' feedback, you've taken consumers' feedback, which
Yeah.
the consumer is a parent sometimes. It's not
Oh
just the
yeah.
player. So you're taking a lot of feedback from, different demographics to make the best skate possible. And you'd mentioned it, I think, like you kind of delayed it a little bit in order to have the best,
Yeah.
best product to put out there, right? Price point, technology wise, design wise, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed, like even with the chassis, they're different they look different, at least, not just in color, but they look different than your typical just like high-low chassis. It looks like there's some different holes in there, probably to, I guess, adjust maybe the weight of it a little bit.
Yeah, so the kind of the compromise was how do we strip some weight out of these chassis? How do we give a Kryptonium as close to Kryptonium feel as we can? So um, this chassis is a little bit heavier than Kryptonium, but it is almost as stiff, which when you're talking about chassis performance, that's what you're looking for, right? So the stiffer you have under your foot, the better, more efficient the energy transfers to those wheels. Um, and so weight obviously below the boot is significant, right? It's crazy if you just hold a boot with no
Oh yeah.
hardware underneath. It's wild. So
Yeah.
this is still going to give you kind of that really nice stiff lower, but it obviously is not as significantly as light as Kryptonium. So, and the other thing about, you asked me the wheel spec in all of the research that we've done, we learned that the large majority of consumers who are in this kind of performance area or level of play, they all have wheel preferences. And like you talk about hockey players, you talk about roller hockey players, very, very specific about what they're using and what they like. And so we felt like this is still a great wheel out of the box. 9 times out of 10, people are going to swap the wheels for what they prefer in any case.
Good
So,
point. Yeah, it's a good point. And the
yeah.
Millennium Gripper's like been around since like
It's
the
a
beginning of roller
fantastic
hockey.
wheel.
So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
classic wheel, like, something that everyone, when you get the skate out of the box, just, I told you that guys have used it, and they're like, one of the things that they really liked is that out of the box, they're able to use them.
Yeah.
Like not just with the wheel spec, but like it felt like they could just throw that skate on after they baked them, and they were able to play in them,
Yeah.
right away without much of an adjustment period, which is really awesome. And the one guy I know had is coming from like a pretty low level skate, so when he threw this thing on, he's probably like, "What have I been doing the past years?"
Yeah.
He can
For
skate
sure.
now, by the way. So
That's
just letting
good.
you
That's
know.
good.
So
Great.
you're improving my men's league
Awesome.
drastically so far. So
That's
Um,
great.
so I know, the FS1 and the FS2, these two type of skates aren't the only skates that are coming out in the new Mission line.
That's right.
Can you kind of just, what are all the skates that are coming out in this new Mission line?
Yeah, so under the Mission brand, we've got FS1, FS2, and then under the Bauer brand, we've got a new goal skate, which I'm sure the goalies are going to be happy to hear because the previous one, it was long overdue for an update. And so this skate, what we really focused on was two things: better boot, both from a performance and comfort perspective. And then the number one thing when we sat down with a focus group of goalies, we said, what is your biggest pain point? What are you struggling with the most? And they all said overwhelmingly finding some place or something to do with their toe ties. Like it's getting caught in the chassis, it's getting caught in the wheels, they're braking or it's stopping the roll. And so my incredible design and development team, Philip Errol, who has been the roller hockey designer since I started, he had an incredible idea, and he came up with this toe loop. So this is like a soft material. It's like a TPU material. And basically there's two zones that you can tie your toe ties through to get them out of your chassis and away from your wheels. And it's very, very flexible. So if you want it down here, you can put it down here. If you want it more closer to your tongue, you can absolutely do that. But that was really what goalies said that they needed, was they needed something to do with their toe ties. And we said, say no more. That was actually a big development project. I know it seems small, but getting that piece right was challenging. So I'm super excited with where it landed. And honestly, the guys in Blainville are world class. I couldn't do a single thing without them. So
I was gonna say, so like what I do when I play goalies, I put it through my first two eyelids.
yeah.
So it's cool that you have it in the very front of the toe cap, where someone who's like more traditional, like in ice hockey, that's where you would go around your frame. And
Hmm.
then for me, like I like it sitting back a little bit so I can use that second loop. And it was
Yeah.
cool to see that little, I guess it's like a stitch seam into
Yeah.
the toe cap. Right. So you can put it and
Exactly.
kind of adjust it and be a little more accustomed with it. And you still have, it looked like it still had the Lundy strap on the back, right? That you
Yeah.
could put your boot strap through so you
Yeah.
don't have to go through the chassis, which that was like the main reason, like, a
And
lot of
it's
people,
four wheels, not five.
And it's four
yeah,
wheels. Yeah.
yeah. So you have the gap in
Huge.
between and four, right? So that can
Yeah.
go for a boot understrap too. So it seems like the goalie skate that was the biggest thing. You could talk to every goalie who plays roller hockey at any level, and there's guys who don't even use toe ties for that reason. They're like, screw
Right.
it, I'll just use the bootstrap. So you guys solved a major issue that has been ongoing in roller hockey since the beginning of time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
So I can't wait to kind of hear the feedback from goalies. Is goalies are they are rare, right? They're hard to track down. They're hard to get feedback from because there's not a
One
ton
right
of
there.
them. So yeah. So I'm pumped to finally get, a larger group of people in these skates to get their feedback and make sure that we got it right, because this is once we launch any of these skates, we don't close the book, right? We stay very, very close to the market. I read every single comment on every single Instagram post. I stalk Reddit like you wouldn't believe. Like I see it all. I read it all. So, sometimes we miss, and that's not just for Mission, that's across the board. Sometimes we miss and it requires an adjustment, and we're all very dedicated to making sure that once a product goes to market that we're still maintaining and still making sure that it's meeting the requirements that it needs to meet.
I think one like really cool thing about the goalie skates that Mission that has done and continues to do is the four wheels. I
Mm.
I love the four wheel idea. I've had other goalie skates that are five wheels. Actually, my first skates were Bowers and they were five wheels, and they're like the ones with like the white capping on the outside, and they came with the square blue wheels where
Yeah.
you couldn't even skate. Like but it made you lower, and I think that was kind of the start of all goalie skates, right? And then Mission over time just got more with roller, and other skates kind of just stayed with the ice goalie skate. And that's what I love
Yeah.
about Mission is they've
Right.
kind of found their way into all right, this is a goalie roller skate. And I
Right.
love that with the four wheels and just the way the chassis is. So it takes less weight off your skates already. And that's a huge thing for goalies nowadays, is just weight overall.
Yeah.
The lighter you are, the better you can move, and the
Yeah.
more the flexibility. So I think that's really cool is that continuing with that four wheel and
Yeah. Yeah.
having the chassis where you can like move you can put your strap underneath there too, which is cool.
Yeah, it's great. I think we wanted to prioritize agility for goalies, knowing that they don't have the space to move, right? Like you, as a skater, you have more runway to get up to speed and get around guys. As a goalie, you don't have a lot of place to go. And so it was really about how do we make sure they can change direction quickly and get post to post as efficiently as they possibly can.
Yeah. And it looks a lot like the Bauer Elite goalie ice
Yeah,
skate.
it's
That's
the
basically the same shell.
same exact boot, same comfort, same performance level.
Love it.
Yeah.
We've kind of built a couple extra features on it to make sure that it's better suited to roller hockey.
And it's so funny because, like Rob was saying, the old goalie skates always had the shell casing on it, right? And now there's no casting,
Yeah,
and it's just like a player boot, right? At the end
yeah,
of the day, for that ankle flexation and everything to
yeah,
give you that most mobility. So
yeah.
crazy. Like we always find our way into goalie talk, no matter what we do in this podcast. We always find a way to goalie talk at some point, and sometimes we get a little carried away with it. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
So actually, another goalie question real quick too.
yeah.
I just got to ask it. I got you here. Mission used to make the Mission slide pads. What's up? I mean, I got you
uh,
here, Sierra. if you can say no comment, you can say no comment. But I thought that was really cool when Mission did that. Those were,
Yeah.
but I understand.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. No comment,
Okay.
but I have talked to the goalie team about this because you're not the only one that I've heard that from, which I'm sure doesn't surprise you. I've talked to the goalie team about, what would it look like if we were to create something. I don't know if it's a full pad. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's something else. I can't say,
Yeah.
but we've started to have those conversations of how could we bring this back to life. Goalie again is a little trickier. Your volumes are a lot lower, so
Small
like
market.
it's a lot more price sensitive of a
Yeah.
category. So
Yeah.
we have to be very, very conscientious about what kind of development we do on the goalie side. I'm sorry, Rob.
No, you're fine.
It's not the
You know
answer.
what?
Well,
That's just the passion we have for Mission Hockey, and I think the roller community. And if I didn't ask that question, I know I'd have got berated by one of my friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just had to ask the question.
Yeah,
That was
it's fair.
disclaimer on this podcast. We did not put that question in our line of questions.
Yeah, we didn't put that in there
that was
because
from
That's
left
it.
field.
I'm leaving.
yeah.
How dare you?
But
But
no, I think it just goes to like with Mission has always been there. Whether I mean, Machinsky with Black Eye still wears his two Mission pads. He has his USA pads, and he still has his old black ice ones that were like
yeah, like
the
the Star Wars ones.
Star Wars looking ones.
Yeah.
But I just think it just goes to show how no matter if you reach the skate in 2021 and it's 2025, like the passion's there and it still
Yeah.
fuels people and they get super excited and I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the new line and those goalie
Yeah.
skates are just something new and cool, which is really
Yeah.
awesome.
And the last kind of two, there's a lot of new stuff for this
I was
Yeah.
season.
just going to ask about these. Yeah.
So these ones also have been in development for, gosh, 2, 3 years, mainly because of this chassis. So this, I'll start here because this is kind of the biggest change. This is our new FlexLight chassis. So this is a one-piece, fully injected chassis. The reason we did this, and this is a rec skate, right? This is replacing RSX.
Okay.
So it's your I don't want to say beginner roller hockey, but sometimes it's your first roller hockey skate. And we saw the majority of our issues with our chassis came from the steel chassis that comes on the RSX skate. People were breaking it. It's really heavy. It was creasing. It just was not doing what we needed it to do.
hmm
And so we said, there's a couple things that we asked our R&D team. First and foremost was, how do we make this more durable? How do we make it more accessible to a wider range of audience or players from height and weight to performance level? And then how do we shave weight off this chassis? Did I already say weight? I don't
Yeah, it's
remember.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was
I mean,
weight,
that's
it
the
was
biggest thing, though.
That's the biggest
With the
thing, yeah.
skate.
And the
weight
creasing,
and
yeah.
durability. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this chassis is 50% lighter than our steel chassis, and
Wow.
it is 50% stronger than our steel chassis. So from a weight and durability perspective, check. It's awesome. The other really cool thing that we didn't intend, but it was definitely a happy accident, was because this chassis is injected and it's not steel, there's a good amount of torsional flex in the chassis, which means as you're skating, it's going to move. So when you're skating on uneven surfaces, basically what this is doing is smoothing out the feel. So it feels like you're on
It's like a suspension.
kind
Yeah.
of, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So when you're on a smooth surface, the agility you feel is insane. Like I would never call myself an elite level roller hockey player, and I could feel the difference in performance level.
That's
Being
cool.
able to change directions, like acceleration, all of it was unbelievable. And so this is very heavily influenced by our Powerfly on ice holder, which has a stiffer
Yeah.
front and a more flexible back post. So we kind of took those same learnings and applied it to roller hockey, and it was amazing. Like Andy Kripp said he would play in this chassis over Kryptonium, believe it or not.
Hey, if
I was-
Cripps says it,
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, a lot of people's probably first question is like, well, plastic chassis, it's gonna break. But if you think about it, ice hockey holders are all plastic and
Yeah.
they barely break. And
Yeah.
ice hockey
and they have a
pucks-
lot more momentum than
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
know.
say pucks are a lot more dense. They're generally heavier, depending on, besides
Yeah.
really still mat, but like so using a plastic chassis, like if, and like you're saying, it is lighter than the steel chassis. I know guys in my league, maybe it's an introduction in the roller and they're a bigger guy and they were using the chassis, they would crease a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, just furthering your point of like, hey, we're not always perfect, but we learned
We
and
did.
we did something better. And now you have a rec level skate that can cater to someone introduction to roller hockey, or even like I look at it as like, hey, if someone's doing outdoor or just wants to skate around
Exactly.
outside too, like that's a cool looking skate that like you could just throw on and go for a skate with your dog in the neighborhood or just,
Yeah.
wheel around the neighborhood. And like you said, with the rough surfaces, having that flexation, like that's going to help with that too. So I kind of look
Yeah.
at it as like, it could be kind of just a roller skate as well, more than a
Right.
hockey skate too.
Right. And like one of my big goals is how do I get more hockey players into roller hockey? Because it feels like previously there was kind of a negative bias around inline skating and roller hockey in general, where coaches were saying, oh, it's going to ruin your stride, it's going to make you terrible, all these things, which is not true. It's a huge, huge, at the most basic level training tool where you cannot train skating unless you are skating. And this is going to be something that's a little bit more familiar to people who are maybe making that transition from ice hockey to roller hockey from a feel and from a look perspective. Just having a white frame on this is a little bit closer to what they're used to seeing on a hockey skate.
Good point.
Yeah.
And then from a like design perspective, again, consumers they chose. So if you guys don't like it, you only have yourselves to
I think
blame.
it's clean. I love the look.
Yeah, it's
Thank
When
cool.
I
you.
saw it at State Wars, I was like, this is such a cool looking skate. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it. You know what? It doesn't like. It's not just about the top level player, FS1. The FS2. Like you're saying, it is the intro into roller. Whether you are an ice hockey player or you just want to learn, and it got style.
Yeah.
With it,
Yeah.
and it's not like overwhelming. It's literally at the top,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a clean look. So
Yeah. And if you are overwhelmed, we have this one, which is just
I like
silver and
it.
a little bit of
Yeah.
yellow. So even
And are
like
those what wheels are on those ones?
so these are actually Bauer wheels. So we've
Those are
moved
nice.
around.
The color scheme goes clean
Yeah.
together. I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Again, Philip Errol, my designer. I got to give him all the credit because he puts up with me. I wish I could you guys could be a fly on the wall in some of these conversations because we'll go back and forth and he'll work up like endless renderings and I'm like, okay, I like this, but consumer said that and can we bring in this? And he has all the patience in the world, so it's great. But these are Bauer branded wheels. So these are
They're
the new
clean.
Flex Light wheel. I'll send you guys the catalog photos as well if you want to
Yeah,
put them in.
absolutely.
Yeah, please.
But it's the same durometer as a typical, this is a court wheel, the other one's a street wheel. Same high-low setup. So it's taller in the back, shorter in the front. Though we just wanted to refresh the design and kind of align it better with where we're going with the look of this skate.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So the chassis and the two sets of wheels, we also sell aftermarket. So if you're interested in just checking out the chassis, you can absolutely do that and throw it on a pair of skates.
Sweet.
That's
That's
interesting. Yeah, and I think with like the next generation of kids, like they do like things a little more flashy too. So I
Yeah.
think it really is going to hit home with them,
Yeah.
especially for like you said, one of the best ways to grow roller hockey is just to get people on skates. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, and that's all of our goals, right? Your goal, Rob's goal, my goal, everyone's goal who's running tournaments is to grow roller hockey because we know it's such a cool thing to be a part of. And
Mhm.
you could probably attest to this too. At these tournaments, it's a different vibe than an ice hockey tournament.
It really
You know?
is.
Like
It
I feel
really
like in
is.
ice hockey tournaments, I was always going back to the hotel to play mini sticks. Where like in roller hockey tournaments, I see kids just with their skates and shorts on, skating around the rink like maniacs. As much as I
Yeah.
hate it now, like
Yeah.
it's probably awesome for the kids. I'm like,
Yeah.
trying to get like a beer, and I got a kid like slash me in the shins. I'm like, what's going on here? Is he still on his
Did you
skate?
not see the Mission booth, the Mission Bauer booth at
It
State
was
Wars?
crazy that
It is
one day that I walked
insane.
up. It was
Yeah.
nuts.
It
So
was, I mean, it's so cool to be there and be able to talk to consumers and talk to these people and just learn about them and about their teams and about what they love and what they hate and getting that kind of pure, unfiltered feedback in those conversations is like it's such a gift, honestly. There's
awesome.
nowhere else in my job or in the world can I go and talk to literally every single person I ever want to talk to. So it's great. I did get like whiplash my first time though with the kids buzzing around. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's
What did you
they
have there
don't
this
stop.
year?
Yeah.
What did you have? Did you have a super deker there or something this year? What was it?
Yeah, we had like a bunch of our training stuff. So we had like a
Yeah.
balance board, we had a slide board, we had all the different kind of dangler tools. And yeah, so the kids, they
Well,
loved it. They loved it.
our our RDN intern Dan Dolan took a pretty big spill on that balance
Yeah.
board. From what I remember, someone pulled his backpack and he took it. Hey, listen, he went and bought the skate, or he's buying the skates tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, when they get released to retail, like he's already been to that Pure Hockey and he's like, hey,
Yeah.
put me like we knew the manager, like, hey, put me set aside. I'm buying them tomorrow. So
Yeah.
hey, something worked, I guess.
Something
But
worked. Yeah.
you know, he took a big
Hey, you know
spill on
what?
it.
You're gonna have better balance if you get these new skates. So
That's
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Maybe not him, but that's good because he's actually playing in France too. So it's gonna be
Oh,
cool that he's
awesome.
grabbing. He's home now. He's gonna grab him, and go back. So it's gonna be a nice introduction into, because I know there's a big relationship between Bauer and Bauer France, right?
Yeah,
So it's a really
absolutely.
strong relationship. So this has been like unbelievable, by the way. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is us just being able to be hockey geeks, and I love it.
it's great. It's the best.
is there other than I guess just to cover all of our bases because I don't want to miss anything, but with the new Mission Hockey launch with these skates coming out and you're hitting all these different price points for the consumer too, which is like
Mhm.
is super cool. Is there any other skates or any other I guess product to Mission, or is this just the one right now that you're releasing, correct?
Yeah, right now it's
Cool.
the two mission price points. We're constantly kind of revisiting and looking at, our protective collection and kind of the entire roller hockey assortment. And again, like we feel very strongly that if we are going to develop something, it's going to be one for the right reason, and two, because we have something that will significantly improve, right? Like we don't want to just update something and put it in the marketplace for no reason. It needs to have purpose and it needs to really solve a problem or concern for consumers. So we look at it constantly and it's all about timing and making sure that we're developing the right kind of technology.
Absolutely. Um, Last question I gotta ask because I love Mission.
hmm
When you guys are doing the R&D of these skates, all different levels and stuff, I know it's hard to give it to a player and be like playing a game because of
hmm
just the publicity and stuff. Like if anybody, if and it's just hard because maybe everything's not done with the skate.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a facility that you guys are testing these out at so you guys can do your own kind of private R&D and it's not like, you're having to go to a local place and be
Yeah.
worried about people seeing it.
Yeah, so we have a really strong field testing team out of Blainville, and so they have, I believe they have an indoor, not a full size sport court type of facility, and then for our more kind of rec level products, they also have an outdoor court for, it's asphalt
Yeah.
that they go and skate on to kind of test on all different surfaces. But yeah, so we have those guys in Montreal, and then again, I lean on Kocher and Cripps and kind of their close friends to test it, knowing that we want you to test it to failure. We want you to call out the problems. You know what I mean? It's not it's a, it's like a stress test for these skates. And
Yeah,
so to your point, like, yeah, I don't want that necessarily going out where people are looking at it and going, oh, Bauer is making a terrible skate or this mission skate's going to suck because it's midway through development. And there's something at Bauer we believe very strongly is it's okay to fail. You just got to fail fast. And so they really give us the permission to try a lot of different things and see what works and see what doesn't. And all those, every time we fail, we learn so much. And that's really what ultimately ladders us up into creating new innovation and new technologies.
I
that's
was gonna
that's
say,
so cool.
yeah, you have like two silver bullets in your back pocket, right?
Yeah,
With and Kocher and Cripps. Like Cripps, I've played with him, on various teams. He's played internationally, played
Yeah.
in France, played for Team USA. So he is someone that you can say, hey, this is our top of the line like player too. And same thing with Kocher. He's played at a high level. And the other thing with
he's
Kocher,
worked in the industry too
he's
so
worked in
long,
the
and
industry.
he's
Exactly.
both of them
And
are. Go ahead.
I would say, even from like a reffing standpoint, like one of the things I
Yeah.
notice is like a lot of guys have the vapor line in my leagues that are refs, and like you're standing there on your feet the whole time. Like you have to have a comfortable skate, like
Oh
or
yeah.
else you're not going to wear it while you're reffing. So, having someone like him who can see both sides of it from the development side, playing side, reffing side, he's another kind of silver bullet you have in the back pocket. So I mean, I think what we've all taken away from this is that Mission is back in a big way. New line is dropping tomorrow, right? So that would be Friday the
14th.
14th. Oh,
14th.
I almost
Yep.
said a Friday 13th. That would
I
have been kind of
know.
cool,
I
honestly. That would have been
know.
kind of cool. But Friday the 14th here. And you could just want to tell everybody before we wrap up here, just like you can find them retail, find them online, like where we can find the new skates.
Yep. So check out your local retailer. They can absolutely give you kind of the ins and outs on the tech and spec and find you the right fit. If not, local retail, Bauer.com is always a great next spot to check out. And I also just want to give a note on baking these skates because all of the skates in the lineup, including kind of XRS and XR, the lower or the rec level skates, they're all thermoformable. So you can put them in the oven. They all have thermoformable uppers. You can bake them. Please leave your wheels on when you bake the skates because it'll change how the skate fits. Not a lot of people know that. People are like, oh no, I don't want to
They're
cook
gonna
my
melt.
wheels down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not gonna melt.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing it at home. Definitely go to a retailer, put
Yeah.
them in a certified skate oven. But make
I have
sure
a
that
buddy
you
that does it at home.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've baked them at home before, and I took off the wheels this early on. Took off the
yeah,
wheels, and like an idiot went to go grab the skate and like grab the chassis. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
like
Oh, it's
yeah,
hot.
it's not that,
Yeah,
yeah, not a smart idea. Leave the
yeah,
wheels on. Your wheels when they're made, they're basically made at a much higher temperature that your oven's
exactly.
gonna get to, so you don't have to worry about your wheels melting.
Yeah, like wheels are
Leave them on.
melted plastic poured into a mold, right? So
And
it's hot.
and to the heating point, like I always tell people, don't go play after you heat them like an hour later. Like let
Yeah.
your skates sit, let them cool down. I think what's the rule? Like usually 24 hours, right?
Yeah, give it
After.
like if you absolutely have to, it's okay. But
Yeah,
the rule of thumb is give it 24 hours, let them settle into that kind of new shape. And having a 3D last process, which is what I was explaining, kind of
the wrap.
curving the curve around the foot, it really, really significantly reduces your break-in period. So like 10 years ago, getting a new pair of skates was like
Miserable.
murder on your
Yeah.
feet for the first 10, 15 hours. That kind of protocol or that experience has definitely gone away. And you're still gonna have some pain. It's a stiff boot, it's a new pair of skates, but it's significantly reduced, especially when you bake the skates.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I not gonna lie, I thought you were about to give us a tip on baking. I was like, wait, and then I was like, okay, she's gonna say baking with the skate.
With
So
the wheels on. Yeah,
yes,
And
I get that question a lot, actually, like more than you
I'm
would you
sure.
would think. I think just from an abundance of caution,
hmm
honestly. They just want to make sure that it's okay. So,
yeah.
And I know at least like to pump up on your retailers, like at Pure Hockey, they've been baking skates like just no cost, like just doing it as you buy the skate.
yeah,
So it's good. So make sure you just do it there while you have it. Sit
yeah,
there, talk to the staff, like BS with them a little bit, like, and they'll
Learn
teach
about
you
the
how to
skate
sit.
more.
Yeah,
yeah,
learn about the skate, and they'll teach you how to sit correctly so the skate fits best. You're not leaning forward and stuff like that. So that's a huge point. We might have to throw like that as a little reel
yeah.
because we did do this at the end, the baking of the skate, but
Yeah.
that is a huge question amongst the roller hockey
Right.
community.
Oh,
And you
the other
did,
thing with baking, sorry, I should have
no,
said
go
this
ahead.
before. If these don't come with wax laces, they're standard laces. If you're a wax lace user, put them in before you bake it and then tie, like, however you want to use the skate, put them
Yeah.
in the oven that way. It'll give you the best kind of fitting experience.
Yeah,
I
so
see.
like over the eyelid or under, like, is that what you mean with like putting
No, no,
your
no. Just like if you like to use wax laces,
just use the wax
switch
underneath?
switch your lace before you bake them so that you can tighten them. You know what I mean? It'll
Because
just
they have
give
a
you
tighter feel on you with the wax.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you can really crank down a lot more. It holds
hmm
it holds the pressure. Like I'm somebody who this is probably not the right way to do it, but because I come from a figure skating background, I like a little bit of a tighter wrap around my ankle. I feel like I have more to push against. So like I'm a big wax lace user. And so anytime I bake a skate, I make sure I swap my laces. Also, you don't need to drop an eyelet. A lot of people think you do. You do not need to drop an eyelet.
I
There's a
do it
lot of,
anyway.
especially in this one because of what we've done with the tongue and tendon guard, you're going to get that forward
I
flex you
see.
need. And like, the skates are designed to support you to make sure you're utilizing those flex properties as best as you can.
Well, that'll be a test for me because I'm a person who drops an eyelid. So when we do our little review of these
You have to try
eventually,
it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try tying them all the way. I mean, I was a goalie, so I like having just a little bit
Yeah,
of
it's
lower,
lower.
but
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try it. And I know with like the War Machines, the tongue's so big that for me, like I really wanted that flex because that tongue was huge. So,
Yeah. You'll have to
um,
let me know. You'll have to
yeah,
let me know what you think.
it's gonna be all in there. So I'm definitely marking that one down. But this has been more than we expected, honestly, and in the best way possible. So you've been unbelievable. Your knowledge is crazy. Like
Thank you.
you said words that I had to like pull up dictionary real quick. So what you talking about? It's not even in there. But but another thing I noticed real quick, the Bauer website has tons of stuff on there for roller, a whole
Oh
section.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
like everything, like training utilities, street hockey gear, roller gear, like the whole nine. So definitely check it out because there's more than I thought
Oh yeah.
on the Bauer website than like just like skates, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, if
uh
you can't find something you need at retail, check Bauer.com, check Pure Hockey, Hockey Monkey, all those sites. They sometimes will have a deeper like assortment or catalog for roller hockey online.
awesome. Yeah, that's it for me. I mean, that was unbelievable. That's
Yeah,
you can't do enough.
again, yeah, again, Sierra, thank you, taking your time out of the day. I know it's been a long time coming and just giving us the knowledge and just the breakdown on the skate in general. I don't think anybody's had that from, this info about a skate and yeah, and ever. So, really
Yeah,
appreciate it. And,
of
just
course.
you know, being out there, testing it at State War, showing people and what it all takes. I think like huge kudos to you, like the a massive kudos to you and, just the team at Mission and Bauer to be able to, take what the community wants and actually put the vision into reality. And I couldn't imagine how much work it goes into and, in a daily. So huge kudos to you. And thank you again for, taking the time to join the pod.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's definitely a huge, huge team lift. Everybody at Bauer is incredible and super dedicated to making sure that we're doing the right thing for roller hockey. So, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to come on and talk about what I work on every day. It's super
Awesome.
cool to talk to people who get it. So,
We're all envious of your position. I can tell you that
Yeah.
for free. There's not a single person who's not going to listen to this and be like, "This is my job." I'd be the happiest person on planet Earth. So
yeah.
again,
I honestly it's the dream job. I hate to say it, but it's
no,
the coolest thing.
you could tell you love it. Just like you're
Yeah.
smiling the entire time. Like that makes us so happy because like this is like I'm not gonna lie, I'm missing work right now just to do this interview. You know what I mean? Like I'd
Sure, yeah.
rather be doing this than my stupid job of custom pools. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
That pays the bills. I'd rather be talking about mission hockey skates that are getting dropped tomorrow, March 14th at your local retailer.
Yeah. So thank you again, Sierra. And we'll catch you guys on the next pod. Was an unreal interview with Sierra from Mission Bauer. Thank you again. I think we just geeked out and fanboyed out over Mission Hockey, to be honest with you. So, and I think huge, kudos too to Cripps and Kocher. There's always two guys that are very, I guess you just say loyal to us, gives us info and stuff. And we really respect that too. We don't really do anything with it and put info out there that doesn't need to be out there. But just the whole Mission and Bauer team. That's kudos to you guys and pumped to see the new Mission skate release.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like Sierra was unbelievable. You could just see like not only our passion for it, but her passion for it. Like
Dude.
smiling ear to ear the entire conversation. Like going into some like really, really, detailed information about the skate and the
And,
technology.
and like I think people don't realize it's her. I know they have other people
Yeah,
too, but like she got her
the face.
job
Yeah,
was to Mission Hockey, the associate manager, to bring this skate to life. And she did that. And I think that's huge kudos to her and the Mission Bauer team. But yeah,
yeah.
just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was and so cool for us to like have the opportunity to speak with someone that close to the product and development and guys like Kocher and Cripps, like you mentioned, like they're always giving us little, little pieces of the puzzle.
Tidbits.
And we were able to kind of, bring it all together with a different interview where, typically we're doing players and stuff like that. And we got to speak to someone who was direct, like you said, source for Mission Hockey. So awesome, awesome, awesome interview. I was so pumped, and that's why it's going in the beginning of this podcast because it was that damn good. So,
Yeah. So,
listen,
officially, welcome back to the RDN Roller Show. We are back on the second half of your pod. And Not only are we back, we're a new HQ. We are located here in Texas. RDN HQ is now in Texas. So
Damn,
I'm a Texan. Yeehaw.
that's crazy that
Yeah.
you moved to Texas. I mean, we kind of teased it on the last episode, I believe, at the end. I mean,
I'm
obviously, like
out.
people know you who are close to you know that you've moved, but HQ's in Texas. I'm still here in Philly, but you're in Texas
HQ
now.
had to move for no income state taxes. So hopefully,
Exactly.
maybe RDN can make some
Well,
more money.
yeah, make some money at all, but it's I mean at least you're lucky enough you do have a rink. I don't
Yeah.
know how
Shout out to Eric Torres, too, has been
yeah,
nothing but awesome, trying to get me down there to the rink. But yeah, we do have a rink here. So pumped
that's good.
to get down there, check it out. Obviously it's nothing like the field
And
house,
and
I'm sure.
knowing you like and how you play from what I've heard and what I saw in the one little Narch video, you're gonna be running amok down there on these guys. They're not gonna know what hit them. Like
Marshan.
yeah, you're gonna be like the little it's like yeah, it's kind of is like you're moving from you got traded. You got
I got
traded to El
traded to
Paso.
Texas.
But
I got
hopefully
traded from Denver to El Paso, bro.
that's crazy.
Yeah, but
Well,
all right, well, let's get into it. The RDN Roller Show. Ant, first, how's Philly? How are you doing over there in Philly? How's the family and how's the NERC rink?
family's great. Nerk rank is buzzing as always here right now.
Got a guy
Um,
running laps out there, right?
yeah, I just doing wind sprints out here. One of the gym members, because we are attached with like a big gym, but
Yo, he heard we interviewed Sierra, and he's like, I wonder if I could get some
peeking in.
skates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's peeking in on it, but yeah, it's been good. Dom's getting big, dude. It's like he's like a whole different person now. It's like crazy. He's like big, like he's tall actually for his age, like apparently. So I'm pumped about that because like I'm not tall. So I'm hoping that he gets my dad's height, who's like 6'3". So I'm hoping that just keeps trending in the right direction.
Hell yeah.
Weather's finally turning, so it's awesome. Everyone seems just a little bit happier in our area. And we had some big roller events happen over the past, 2, 3 weeks. So
Yeah, absolutely.
let's get into it.
Yeah, so first up, we're gonna go overseas. We're gonna go over to the Ligue Elite. It's the Coupe de France, and that is going to be basically so it's part of the Ligue Elite, but how it works, it works with the top division, which is the Ligue Elite, but also down to N1 and N2 teams too. It starts with, I think it's like a 32 round bracket.
Yeah, it's like an NCAA bracket.
Yeah, and then they kind of play each other, and then it ends up obviously into your final four. So you have sometimes last year we had an N1 team. I think it was Ruined that was actually in the Coupe de France finals too. So it's pretty cool to see some upsets and stuff. But this year you had Villeneuve playing Anglet, and then Rattel was end up playing. Who was Rattel playing?
They play Wakefield's team Valence?
Yeah, Valence. Yep. So you had
Valence.
another N1 team making it in there, which, Valence, they got Connor Bradley, Wakefield. They also have Junior
Over there.
Cadiz,
Yeah, so
our boy
they got bumped-
Stavi.
yeah, they got
Um,
bumped up from N1, so they're in the League U Elite this year, but they were a team that was an N1 last year.
yes,
So
that my bad. That's what I meant. Yes. But I know Junior wasn't there for this, but the finals what ended up being Villeneuve versus Rattel, which I don't think is any surprise, to be honest. Two dominant teams, the Czechs, and then dude, Villeneuve has just a nasty group of players, just with Fiala, Carl Gablet, and then you got Koss and Frankie, and then Brabick and that. They have the team that works, all from all over, which is pretty cool. So, Rattel and Villeneuve played each other in the championship. That was a high scoring game too. I think that ended up being like what 7-3,
something
eight
like
three.
that. I think I kind of had to stop watching. It was like 5-2, but the crowd looked sick. Like it was jam packed, and they actually did like a pretty. They always do a good job. We talked, we actually met with them not too long ago, and we gave
Eight
them
three. That's what it was.
A3. We gave them kudos to the people who were help running League U Elite. Like we gave them a lot of credit for how they present the sport, and they did a really good job. And it goes down to the details of like the board banners, right? Having the graphics and having all sorts of stuff that's just branding for the Coupe de France. So like it was really cool. They did a really good job with the broadcast, with the scoreboard. Just all that stuff matters, right? Like to someone watching it. And we talk about it all the time. Like it's so sick to like just throw it on a Saturday,
It is.
just in,
And what's cool about, I think, the French league, and I'm pretty sure this is in most of the arenas there, that there's no boards, so like no glass, right? So you're kind of like right there in the action, which makes you feel more a part of it. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if that would work here in North America, but it would be very interesting to see tournaments in a rink like that in North America. I really would love to see that. I just would like to see the level of competition and just difference because it's not as big as a rink. You might not need 12 players. Probably only would need 10 at that point, right? So you
yeah,
could see a couple more skilled teams too. But it'd just be interesting because then ice hockey could dominate that type of play too with just your physicalness and it'd be interesting to see a rink like that in North America.
yeah, and it's weird because like most of the rinks in France, like most of them don't even have glass. It's just netting,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I talked about it like when we played in Argentina, we played on the one rink that had netting. Like when the puck comes off, it goes, you don't even know where it's going. Sometimes you kind of stop playing because you like think it's out of play because you don't hear the glass, like just things that you pick up on as a hockey player. But it is funny you say that because now I'm looking at the picture of the rink
Yeah.
and those camera people, like, they got some balls behind them. They're just standing like in the like
Lionel's right there, and so Sebastian
yeah,
from World Inline Hockey, they're just getting
they're
into
like
it.
right in the mix. Like there is like if a puck's like errantly goes out of like off of someone's shin or stick or something like they're it's like football. Like when you see the camera guys get ran
Yeah.
over like a lineman or something like that. Like
Dude,
so, but yeah,
it's like
Villeneuve.
RHI. When I was a kid, my first hockey game ever, I knew I was going to be a roller dad because first hockey game ever, my dad took me and my buddy Eric Martinez to the Denver Daredevils, and we watched a guy get hit with a puck in the eye. And I was like, holy shit, this sport's crazy. Dad, can I play? Can I play
I play.
inline hockey?
But yeah, so but it was a sick game. Like, I mean, from what I watched, like Frankie just doing Frankie stuff, just he just loves dominating over there. Like he
You
got in
know
front of
what? And
the
so
he's the
Rattel has Woodsy on their team, so Thomas
yeah,
Woods plays on their team, and Villeneuve, they're you know what, they're just they have a good team. They have a good core, right? And Carl Gablet's their leader, the French leader. I still think he should be playing for Team France. That team would be so much better with him. I'm
yeah.
just gonna say that right
He's the
now.
rock. He's the rock.
He is the
Yeah.
Rock, and he is like I think it was Glover. I could be wrong. I think it was Glover that said he's one of the best roller hockey players he's played with. I could be wrong. I think it was Glover, is one of the Canadian boys. But Rattel just doesn't look like Rattel this year. I think they're just missing some pieces maybe, but they're not the Rattel years past, you know? And
Yeah.
I know they are in first place right now. They still have 33 points, but like I don't know, 8-3, that's like that
Yeah.
they went off, right?
Yeah. And Frankie talked about it like with them losing last year. I think maybe Villeneuve had like a little more pep in their step in that game, like not wanting to go back to back years
Yeah.
with with the loss. But yeah, I mean, the Rattel roster, like they're always going to be good over there, right? Like they're just always going to be good. But not this time, I guess, right? In this championship game, and you can't win every game, but they only edge Villeneuve by 1 point in the league standings. So
Yeah.
Villeneuve is that's going to be interesting, see if they can catch them with like I think they're maybe a couple games left in their season. So
And one other team, Anglet, which is in fourth place right now. So you have Verzone. It's Rattel, Villeneuve, Verzone, and Anglet. Anglet, they got a couple of the boys from Taiwan on their team, which they've been nasty. And I think they just joined in the later half of the season. I don't think they've been there
yeah,
the whole time. And they're good. They're fun to watch too. So that Anglet team, watch some of the Taiwan boys. I don't know why. I love watching that team. Like the
they're
Chinese,
fast,
I
man.
probably gonna get in trouble for saying Taiwan. It's Chinese Taipei,
Yeah.
but isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't even want to get into the politics of it, but
All right. Sorry, dude,
but
my bad.
no, I don't care. I just don't know enough about it. I mean, that's ignorant of me. Just like in my own bubble,
Yeah, I don't either. But
but
anyways, they're a fun team to watch, and I just think they play really well together too.
yeah, and I think they were added on because I think they lost, from what I understand, they lost a couple guys, so they added those players on, and they weren't there for this event. They went back home for whatever reason, but they are coming back, I assume, for the remainder of the season,
Okay.
finish it out with Anglet. So, Yeah, you got them, Arizona, Villeneuve, and Rattel. They're really the three or the four at the top um that are kind of dominating. And it's like funny because I
But so
remember,
here and then but here's one thing too, okay? So Epernay is good, right? You got Marv Simmons on that team, and you also have Cody Williams, and then Chavo when Chavo shows up, right?
yeah,
What place do you think that team would be in if Chavo was there for the full season?
I mean, he puts up points. Like they
That's
probably would have that fourth. I mean, they're not that far behind them. Anglet, like if you look at the standings, like the top three are obviously the heaviest of the hitters, but like after that, four, five, six,
but
even
it's only
seven
yeah, I
is
mean they're at 18 points
like
and Anglet's at 23. That's just a couple
yeah,
wins away.
that's cool wins. Yeah, they probably, I mean, they'd probably be in that fourth position totally, and maybe even in that third. And it's funny because like you look at a team like Grenoble or Grenoble, I
Ginobili.
don't know. Grenoble.
Ginobili.
That was horrible. Grenoble. They're like I remember when I really first started following it, like they were one of the teams I always thought was like one of the best organizations. Like
Pretty
always
sure
had
Kraft played with them in Martinez
yeah, Fox, I mean
or
Kraft.
Fox, yeah.
Yeah, Kraft did play with them maybe like a couple games, but then he came back home to Kyler Kraft. But it's interesting to see they're like kind of right in the middle of the pack. So it's gonna be an interesting playoff push, I think. But if you're the bottom three teams, you're basically playing not to get relegated at this point.
Why did you chirp Kraft like that?
Well, because that's just Kraft. Like he wanted to come home to Philly, go Birds, So he wanted to come home to Philly. I'm not chirping him. I'm just being honest. Like he wanted to
Yeah,
come home.
I mean, go birds, go birds. You're
Go
right.
Birds, go Birds, go Birds. But yeah, so pretty interesting. Good
It
advantage.
is hard to live over there.
Yeah, it is. It's
We're
definitely
in
different.
we're spoiled as shit. We're like,
Yeah,
as an American, it's hard to live in France.
yeah,
It's just different lifestyle and what you're used to and what you're doing in your life. I totally get it.
yeah, for sure. So anyway, so yeah, that's it. It was a good event, good weekend. They always do great coverage. So if you didn't get a chance to kind of check it out, you can go on that the League U Elite like Instagram and kind of see the coverage that they put behind it, all the cool little highlight videos and stuff like that, which I always like watching. So
Yeah, me too. All right, on to North America. We got the NCRHA going on. So we're just going to talk about we got roller hockey nationals, college roller hockey nationals in Fort Myers, Florida. The National Collegiate Roller Hockey Association is proud to announce the following bids to the 2025 National Collegiate Roller Hockey Championships. They said that twice. Held April 2nd through the 6th, 2025, at the Stadium in Fort Myers, Florida.
definitely Chat GPT written right there.
Yeah, they wrote right off the website. So, Division One, the bids, and I'm pretty sure all of them are going. I don't think they're not going to go, but you never know. University of Arizona, Arizona State, Grand Canyon University, reigning champions, Henry Ford College, Lindenwood University, and Rowan University. I think that's all the teams in D1 as well too.
Yeah, I think
D2, yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them, but and yeah, you got a lot. So you got D2, D3, you got over like 15, and
yeah.
then you get to Division AA as well too. Um, looking at, go ahead.
No, that's it. No, I was just go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, when you look at D1, like everyone kind of looks and be like, all right, well, that's where the more skilled is. Like that's what I want to want to watch or whatnot. But like the heartbeat really is the D2, D3, just because of how competitive and how many teams there are.
Yeah.
Um, Division AA is technically right under D1, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so.
You
Yeah.
know, but you do have like that D2 and D3. Like it is so hard to predict who's going to go in and win it, right?
Yeah.
Because of how really just competitive and deep the two divisions are.
Yeah.
Linden or not Lindenwood. D1 you can kind of predict, all right, well, it's probably going to be either one of these two teams in the champion, or it's going to be these two teams in the championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you get to D2, D3, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, there's so many teams in it too. So really, like, I'm sure there are weaker conferences and stuff like that, but the pool's bigger. So like, you never know. Like, you can lose a game, and that could truly change your trajectory. And to your point, I wanted to say something too. Like, when that D1 finals going on, the whole crowd is D2, D3, and the double A the players, right? So
Yeah.
about being the heartbeat. They truly are the heartbeat, even at that D1, even at that D1 level, because they're the ones watching the game. And some of these D1 teams do have D2, D3 programs, right? So that's even better because now you're invested in it. But I remember like the crowd seemed pretty electric last year, and
Oh,
especially
that
with
GCU versus Lindenwood game was one of the
yeah,
best. It's just a
yeah, like
great
it was
roller hockey
upset,
game.
yeah, upset and everything, and was pretty cool that
So let's talk about that. We
okay,
got to talk about this. We got to talk about GCU and Lindenwood, the little rivalry they have created.
little rivalry, big rivalry
Big,
now.
big. Well, I mean, just it's kind of fresh off 2 years. You can't call it
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
but
true.
you're right. It is a big rivalry, probably the biggest in college hockey right now, right? So I don't know how we can kind of like lay the stage, but obviously GCU came onto the scene from Aiden Schwetz. Aiden Schwetz used to go to Lindenwood University, transferred out to GCU, created a program with his buddies, had an on-campus rink, and just took advantage of what GCU offered. Went to final or went, they went to the playoffs. I think what the first 2 years, and then they won it last year, which is pretty incredible, right? Like just being able to build an organization like that from scratch, recruit players, and all this type of stuff to win D1 national championships. It's just like you cannot deny that's pretty pretty great, right? But now, when they play each other, it's just a heated rivalry just because of the history. You have some players that either went there or what we're gonna go there that now play for GCU, and now there's a new, kind of like new dog in town, you can kind of say. So, you see it on Instagram, I see it, the chirping and stuff, and when they play each other, it's a heated battle. And I love it. I love it. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's interesting because like Lindenwood, as far as I remember back, was always like if you wanted to play college and roller hockey, you went to Lindenwood. And there was more D1 teams at that time too, right?
Bethel,
But like,
and then they
yeah,
folded.
Bethel, right? Perfect example. But like that was the premier place to play. So they're the old dog. And like you said, GCU being a new dog in there, it actually is kind of revived college roller a little bit, I would say. Like, you know what
They
I
do
mean? Like,
great social media.
yeah, they do. And I think with the guys who are going to Lindenwood, I would say, they're the people like anyone who goes to Lindenwood is like all in on Lindenwood. They're kind of like Penn State college people. Like Penn State people love Penn State.
You saying
People
that because it's in like
no, I mean I went to Penn State, but I'm not like a guy who's blowing Penn State. But I'm saying like people who go to Lindenwood love Lindenwood. And
they're
Dwyer told
proud.
yeah, like they're very proud. Like Dwyer told us that in the beginning. Like he's like, I would move back there, right? Like he loved Lindenwood. And like even look at a guy like Dylan Morte, he moved out there. Like once he went to school there, he got a job there, stayed there, right? He's from New York. Like they're gonna be total opposite places. They're totally different. So
It's just the culture they build, man. It's something you want to be a part of.
so they have this like long history, and then like you said, with how Aiden has kind of taken GCU and blown it up as far as using social media, using his resources, and really making it a place that's desirable, especially because it's in Arizona, right? So like it's a place that
Nice
it's a
weather.
nice weather all the time and stuff like that. So he's really taking advantage of like I said, of his resources to make it a desirable place to play. And he's doing recruiting. Like give the kid credit. Like he was at the tournament at March, like talking to younger kids, kids that were on that prospect list, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I saw kids going up to him. He was, kind of campaigning around, like talking to kids about going to GCU and, like, hey, look at our team. We have a couple guys who play there and they're playing at the pro level, whatever it is. So he's doing a good job with that. And Lindenwood obviously has like the Bealsteins and everybody that have so much history and they're doing a
They
lot. And
already have their recruiting kind of foundation, but they also do have like they've just been around for so long where people gravitate towards that, and that's what they want
they
to
know the
be,
name.
you know.
Yeah.
And Missouri has a phenomenal high school and junior high school program going on there too, so it's easy to pull from a hockey hotbed like that. But I just love the rivalry, I just like to see it, and I think more teams like when you get the Black Ice and Palmeth games playing, like, man, those are like some of the best games. Like, it's just such good roller. It is just unbelievable roller. When the Dogs and Thunder play each other, fireworks. It's just like there's certain games where you want to watch just because of the rivalry, and I like that about GCU and Lindenwood, and I'm excited to see at nationals what happens. I know Lindenwood I think they beat them this year in regular season play. So
Yep.
it's gonna be interesting to see, where they line up, where they play. It would be cool to see a rematch, but you do have other schools like ASU and University of Arizona, which University of Arizona, they won D2 last year, I believe it was, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So, I don't know. You just never know what could happen in hockey on any given Sunday, to be honest. So
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it like Lindenwood played GCU and beat them 4-rip, and it was GCU's only loss of the year. But it is interesting, like how many more games GCU played over
well,
Lindenwood.
GCU plays more hockey than anybody. They go to all these different tournaments and all these different things. They all play like semi-pro Pi. Aiden, I know you're listening. I don't know why you guys play semi-pro and Pi. You
Yeah.
guys can play pro, but yeah. Anyways,
Anyways, but and the other thing is like a lot of these look like league, like half the games that like Lindenwood played, like it's weird. We'll have to get some more info on that. Like they're non-sanctioned games. It says I don't know. It's really weird, but
it's just the division they play in, right?
yeah.
GCU. I think they're just more open to travel and just go places. And where they're playing, they have to go up into California and play. And Linden Woods is kind of just within that area, so it's
They
different. They're
have two
not
teams
all.
on them because it's the
Yeah,
middle of the country.
they don't get to play as many D1 teams as GCU does. GCU does play Arizona State and Arizona because it's in their backyard. Lindenwood doesn't have anybody like that in their backyard like they used to. Like Umsel used to be there where they could do that, but now they don't. So it's a little different. I think that's why you see that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hey,
But both teams are loaded, great rosters, and I'm ready to see some fireworks in D1, baby.
yeah, so that's same weekend as Winter War East actually. So April what 4th through the 6th. So
Yeah,
uh, so a lot of roller going on that weekend too. So
absolutely. All right, well, let's move on to Paiha out west, Western Conference Finals. So, sorry, let's
go
try.
ahead. Well, East on the East, let's just start there
Yeah,
real quick. On the East, Sting wound up going
no
through.
surprise.
No surprise there. Yeah, we actually got kicked out of we got kicked out of Pi kind of. We didn't get kicked out. We just were disqualified from playoffs. But I'll throw a little shade Pi way. We had by far the worst Pi schedule you could ever have. Not just our team, like in general. We played like the weekend before Thanksgiving and like 2 weeks before Christmas. And anybody who has kids or family, anybody like you're like that's the toughest time of year to get people to do anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it just sucked. Like I'm just gonna throw some shade that way because like
I got
you
more shade to throw, but anyways,
yeah.
we can get
You,
going.
you guys literally play the season that lasts actual months, and we played all of our season within like 2 months. Like we had 4 weekends of play in 2 months. And I know that's with scheduling and stuff, I get it, but like it fucking sucked, honestly.
Yeah.
So
So they ended up Sting ended up beating Inferno in the championship, correct? Yeah, on the East
correct.
Coast.
Yeah, just pulling that up. So um yeah, so Suffolk Sting finding their way to another playoff final. So Jay Miro is probably loving that. He loves Colorado, I heard.
He loves it. So out in the West, we had the Western Conference Finals this weekend. Top four teams made it. It was Chaos, Florida Chaos playing the Colorado Springs Thunder, and then it was Arizona Outcasts playing Denver Demon Dogs, the boys. And the Chaos ended up beating Thunder in a 3-game series, which was pretty good. I mean, probably could have swept them, but is what it is. Thunder's
It was a pretty intense selly from the Thunder guy. Like, was that the one tee on the half wall?
yeah, it
Or
was
like,
at like 7 minutes left in the game.
yeah,
Uh, but it is what it is when you own the league. So the we played Outcast and just had some unfortunate events. I'm not gonna like blame anything, but it just our team left at 3:30, 4 o'clock to go down to Colorado Springs. In Denver, that's about a 70-mile drive if you don't know. There was snow. They closed the highway, so half the team was still stuck on the highway. So we leave around 3:30, 4 o'clock for our 7:30 game. And our team, we had 5 players there. No goalies showed up because they're still on the highway. So we had 5 other players on the highway. And yeah, we tried to reschedule it, talk to Paiha, talk to the Outcast, say, hey, can we just do this at the end of the night? We'll make it a little more a better game, right? Instead of having to pull a player that plays semi-pro, a player, and throw him in net, not a goalie.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we ended up doing that and unfortunately lost that first game and, no surprise. So the next day we ended up losing the second game in overtime and then got swept. So Outcast moved on to the championship, which, you know what, it's a bummer. It is what it is. It's hockey. Shit happens, right? It just fucking sucks to play that whole season and then
And then it comes down to a player who doesn't play goal. It's not even like it
yeah,
was.
it's like we just like you can't even work with us with this. Like, no, we have to do it. It's like
Yeah.
I have Andy Flynn reaching out to me asking what's going on. I'm like, I don't know. Like, we should probably ask the owners of the league what's probably going on. So I don't know. Just the way Paya handled it was pretty. I don't know, pretty brutal. But I get it. I'm not here to complain. I'm in Texas, so I don't like. It is what it is.
In the game that weekend, but
Yeah, but it's just like it's just
the fact that
comical. You're gonna run a professional, league, and then you know what's going on. There's a winter storm,
yeah,
and our team's from 70 miles away on a Friday after work. We do what we do to get down there, but yeah, unfortunately,
it's
boys couldn't make it, and five of our players were stuck on the highway because the highway shut down. So
and the one thing people don't understand is that like when you're traveling in like the Outcast and the Naples team where like you're dedicating that Friday off. Like I'm
yeah, you're
sure
already there.
like you're trying to work the morning, right? Like why take we're all adults, like at the end of the day. Like why well, I wouldn't take fucking PTO if I like knew that I can leave at 3 o'clock. Like I'm not taking PTO. I'm gonna work my day and then go because it's something I could drive to. And that's where it's unfortunate is that like, you know, people might try to say, well, they're from Denver, they could drive there. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we
but
did 70 miles away.
yeah, and like a freak snowstorm, like in my opinion, like I just look at it from like I run leagues, and I'm not saying that, and I was involved in
Well, I mean,
Pie,
it's even like yeah,
but like you had time, like there was time to reschedule. Not every series,
it's one game,
yeah, it was one
and we
game.
had room for 3 game series.
Yeah, exactly. So you have those open slots of having a potential a best of three anyway. So like those game threes are if needed. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's where it was kind of like the ball was dropped. And no matter what, at the end of the day, if you run the league, you should be able to make the ultimate decisions to say yes or no, right? That's simply what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I probably sound like I'm bitching because I am.
And
And anyways, so the Chaos, that's from Florida. They played Arizona Outcast and ended up beating them in the 3 game series in the championship of the Western Conference Finals, which was a great series to be honest with you. Outcast took game 1, and then the Chaos took the last 2 games. Chaos just has a good team. It's funny because it's going to be a black ice final. It's basically black ice versus black ice in the final. So it's gonna. I think Chaos with Chavo, Kraft, Novak, and then Scooter Vaughn. They have a good team. I think.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win that. Like Sting, obviously it's Sting. They have who they have. They got Billy, they got PJ, Mula, KJ. They got their team right, but you never know. I think Chaos has the pieces as well too, because it's the
and
other
they got
half of
pugs
Black
in net.
Ice.
Yeah, they got pugs in net. So it's going to be interesting because I well, like from playing the Sting this year on our side of things, they normally had, and I don't know if I'll have to look it up real quick, but like they didn't have Keith Johnson, who's kind of been their guy, like in
Yeah,
the past. Like Keith has been their backstop. They have a young kid that's been goaltending for them, and I'll pull it up right now, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting final, and it's going to be funny, like seeing Kraft play against Miro because, like Miro is like
yeah,
Kraft since he's been like 10U, so it's going to be interesting. So they have Keith qualified on here, so let's see if there what happens there. But the
yeah.
guy,
And that's another thing. It's funny. So we have this kid. I just got to. It's hilarious. Kid, we got this kid on our team, right? So Braylon Green, this kid's a stud. 16 years old, plays the Tour OC Blades, lives in Colorado. Supposedly, a certain team in the Colorado Springs area wouldn't let him on his team. So the dogs took the kid, right? He was on our team all year. He had ACL surgery earlier in the year
oh
and
yeah, I know where you're going with this. It's so stupid.
can't play, right? So we as soon as he got approved for his doctors and everything, and we try to work with the league, like, hey, like the kid, it's just like he was on a roster, he's 16 years old, not like
He
he's in the NHL.
has like a doctor note if you need
Yeah,
it.
but he played the last 6 games. He had his 6 games. I think you have to have like 8 or 10 or whatever, 8 or something like that. So no, he had 8 games. He had to have 10. And we're like, sweet, well, hopefully he can play, right? Nope. League says no, 16-year-old cannot do that at all. We're like, all right, definitely get it. Show up to the day there, got 5 players, and it's like you would think the league would work with you in some type of way, but I get it. Like it's a business to run. It's just funny. Like it's just like
And and again, not trying to shit too much on them, but we have to because the rules just aren't the same for everybody.
it's not because there's certain players that played in France all year that just showed up for the playoffs every
It's
single year.
yeah.
Like
It,
there's
it,
players that play with this thing that
how
like
how if you have a legitimate injury, and the NHL even goes through this at the highest level, like they have the LTIR issues, but like
yeah,
in this, everyone's paying to play, right? Like at the end of the day, this kid paid his money to play. If he's legitimately injured, why wouldn't he be able to play? If he has a doctor's note or something, like there has to be a rule that like you have to be legitimately injured. Like
yeah.
we didn't have Chinny because he was hurt in the beginning of our year. And then, he was going to play like the last weekend,
But
but he's why would I fucking
I
play if
can't
I'm
play in the
not in
playoffs.
the playoffs? Like, there's
Yeah.
no point to play. And we should have been in playoffs. We just, like I said, we got booted. But, like, it just sucks because that totally derailed things for him. And it derailed, and thinking about it as a someone who runs a team, it derailed things for me because now I'm not getting money from him. So now I'm throwing up more money, and you're just turning people away from having a stupid rule because you let someone play 3 years ago that didn't play a single game in playoffs and it derailed the whole playoffs. Like
Yeah.
that's so stupid that
Yeah.
you can't find a happy medium. It's like so polar opposite. So
Yeah. It is what it is, but Pi Championship should be pretty good.
yeah, it's gonna be a sick final at
It'll
the
be a
end of
sick final. It'll be good. It'll be
two
great.
teams that deserve to be there, obviously, not like jealous of them, like they deserve to be there.
Yeah, no,
It's gonna
those 2 teams, I mean, like we didn't win our games. We lost. We had our
that's
chance to
simply
win.
it. Simply it.
Yeah.
So it's
But
gonna
no, I think I just I just had to let it out about Pi Ha. I just like it's just annoying. Year after year, it's the same type of shit where it's like
yeah.
we have to pay more money. When we won the league, we never even like won money. We're like, what did we
In
win?
here. Yeah.
So anyways, we'll move on. So on to the next one, right?
On to the next year. See you next year, Pi.
See ya. All right. Well,
We're
that
still
was a good
coming
pod.
back.
That was a good podcast. I think we're gonna wrap it up here after shitting on Pi Ha that much.
Really did, my bad. I really didn't mean it to come out that way. Like I always have fun. Like at the end of the day, Pie's fun because you're with your boys, and you're with your teammates, right?
No,
Like
yeah,
I,
it's just the way the league handles like situations where
it's willy nilly.
yeah, it's roller hockey. We could have figured it out.
It
And
is so roller hockey.
all right, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
that's
We'll see
back to
you.
work.